What is going on, everyone? So in this video, I'm going to go through the process of transforming your boring stock DualSense controller into a pro controller like this one, complete with clicky hair trigger kit that goes for around $25 and the Rise 4 back paddle that goes for around 50 bucks. So essentially, you can upgrade your pro controller for less than $75. It's a straightforward process that only requires attention to details and following the instructions I'm going to lay out in this video. And I'll make sure to include all the necessary parts in this video in my affiliated Amazon link in the descriptions below. Alternatively, you could also purchase these parts directly from eXtremeRate.com and take advantage of the 10% discount with my promo code GAMER20 at checkout. Now, before the installation, it's important to note that these modifications are exclusively compatible with the new generation controller, the BDM-030. If you're not familiar, there are currently 3 generations of DualSense controllers: the BDM-010, the 020, and the latest, the 030, which I will be covering in this video. I recently bought 2 new controllers from Best Buy and 1 from Amazon, and both of them came as 030. So if you were to buy a brand new controller right now, most likely it'll be the 030. And if you're looking for the older versions, you could probably find the used ones on eBay. Here we have 3 different DualSense controllers. Now, they may appear identical from the outside, but they are quite different in the inside. Primarily, the difference lies in the interior design and the motherboard. To differentiate between them, the easiest method is to press down on the trigger and observe the layout. The 010 has a little groove here. The 020 doesn't have that opening there. And the 030, you could see that there's a spring here, and this spring will identify that this is a 030. And you could also use this reference chart to help you identify the controller model. Once we've confirmed that we're working with a BDM-030 controller, we can begin our installation process. So the first part is to open the controller. We're going to take this trim out, use a prying tool, and take out these 2 triggers. We're going to unscrew 1, 2, and 3, 4 screws. Now we unclip here. Take the battery out, and now we have some ribbon cables that we need to take off. This one, and unscrew the battery case. And we don't want to forget these 2. We can put the controller aside and let's open the eXtremeRate Lite version whole clicky kit for the PS5 controller. And everything that comes in here. And you also have your hardware tools if you needed to use them. And also our membrane and button kit layout. This is what we're going to need right now. So we're going to take our controller here, we're going to remove this membrane. We need 4 of these, and we're going to insert them inside our buttons. Now we want to take our membrane and put it on a D-pad. And we can put this aside. Okay, the next step is we're going to take apart the trigger and install the trigger stoppers. And we're going to do this by unscrewing these 1, 2, 3 screws. Okay, at this point we want to take this mechanism out. Once that part is off, we want to take this mechanism off alongside with this rod. Yeah, the trigger. And we can also take this membrane that's inside the trigger out of here. And we're basically going to do the same on this side. Okay, once we have both triggers taken up apart, we need to cut the power for the motors, because when we install the hair triggers, the motors need to be off. So you have two options. Number one is you could go into the settings of your PlayStation and turn off the motors, or you could just cut the power, which I will do here, because this controller will be used for first-person shooter games, and in those games you do not need the motors. So I have other controllers to play with games that I do need to use the motors, such as racing games or RPG games or whatever. But for these, you're gonna cut the green and the yellow. So once you cut them, the kit comes with this electric tape. You just want to take off two strips, tie these two little wires with the strips. So once you have these cables like this, just want to remove them around here like this and snug them inside like that, so they're not in the way. Now here, don't do the same mistake I did. I accidentally cut the wrong wire, so yeah, I have to go back, solder this up, fix it up, but this is what yours should look. Green and yellow. Okay, so these two wires I fixed. I soldered them together. Need to be more careful. As I was filming, I just didn't notice which wires I guess I was cutting. I need to check back the footage. And this one, as we said earlier, we could snug it inside here, so it's out of the way. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove this flux cable, because we're going to replace it with our clicky one. Because we're going to be installing the back paddles, there's one step we want to do. We're going to remove the sponge and we're going to replace it with this one, and this comes with the back paddle kit. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Go ahead and put that mic back in there. Now we can install our clicky kit. Okay, so now we're going to place these inside the triggers. Just make sure everything there is snug. So we have these two brackets here that come with the kit. So make sure you use these ones, not the stock ones. And on them, they're going to say L1 and R2. So this is our right one. So we're going to use the right one for this. Take this part and insert it on the top part. So once it's there, go ahead and put the bracket on. It's going to go like that. And we do the same to the other side. So we want to take our trigger here, slide it in, bam. So triggers are ready to be installed. We also have these two little membranes that come with the kit. They're going to say R and L. It's going to go in here. The L is going to go in here. And these basically go on top of those little top triggers. Take the silicone, make sure it goes on there like that. Top groove is going to cover this blue little button. Next, we're going to take this part that also comes with a kit, and we're just going to insert these little paddings inside those triggers that we just put installed. Once we have it like this, so we're just going to put it inside the slit to go in between where that button is. So now we could put our triggers. So this is the left side. We have our L2 trigger. We first want to put it inside this little hook. Then once we have it there, we just want to bring it around. Once the hole is lined up, we could insert our rod. Since we're not going to be using the motors, we're not going to be using this part, so we could put it aside and we could just line up our bracket here that we took out earlier. Now once everything is centered, lined up, we could start screwing it on. So now it should sound and look like this. Now we could take these wires, just put them aside here because we're not going to be needing them. And now we could start assembling back the controller. And it looks like this wire for me is bad luck, and I have to do some more soldering. Now you guys, hopefully you guys don't have to do this. Just be more careful than me. But from all the controllers I've been doing, this is probably the only one that this problem encountered. Just gonna get this nice soldered in. Let's get this tightened to the controller. So let's put this screw in here. So here's the kit for the back paddles. We have the back case, and we have this is what we're gonna need, and we have our buttons, which we can take care of later, and of course the hardware tools. So what we want to do is we want to just open back our motherboard. We want to take this cable here and we're going to insert it on top of here. Okay, once we have that, put back our cable here. I'm going to bring in one of our mics here and plug it back in. Screw in our bracket for the battery. Battery is in. So I'm skipping this step, by the way. So if you wanted to map touchpad or L3, R3, you would have to solder this on. Usually I never use those or map them, so I'm going to skip this step. I'm just going to put this here. Now we can put that aside now, and we could assemble our back case. We want to get our little bracket here that goes right on top. Take our paddles, K1, put a rod in there. So there's another step we need to take. So the trigger kit comes with these little squares right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take each of these squares and put it on the corner of the board. So as you can see, one here, one here, one here, and one here. So now just the finishing touches. We're going to take our cable here, just give it a little bend, put it through that hole. I'm going to put the controller, click everything in just like that. Now we're going to take our motherboard, get it connected. Now there's two small screws that comes with the kit, so we want to use these smaller ones. You see these smaller ones go onto this board. Now we want to finish assembling all our buttons here. Put the LED on top, power button here, this we put here, and this we put here. And now we install this. Just gonna go from the top to bottom, click it in. Now we just want to close the controller up back. And there we go. Okay, so now we want to just go to our gamepad tester, and we're just going to check the controller to make sure everything is working properly. So these buttons working, the triggers are working, buttons are working, joysticks are fine, and let's just make sure that our paddles are working. So we turn it on till the red light comes on, and let's map the paddles. So just for the sake here, to make things easier, we're going to map here, map here, map here, and map here. So the paddles are mapped. So trigger's working. So all is working. So what do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. I want to hear you guys' thoughts. There's so many pro controllers out there right now. It's funny because for PlayStation 4, there wasn't that many pro controllers out there. Now when PS5 came out, they just flooded the market with different types of companies that are doing all these controllers. I wish I knew about eXtremeRate when I had my PS4, because I always used the regular controller. I did not want to spend $200-300 for a pro controller. Now with this, you have the option to spend $70 and get a controller like this for your PS5, and it's almost the same as this one, you know. So this aim controller probably goes around $250. What does it has? It has back paddles and it has clicky hair triggers. The only thing is there's an option here where you could click, and now the stoppers are regular, and if you put the option, it's clicky. So if you already have your controller, I don't see the need to buy a new one where you could just customize it, upgrade it, and modify it to be like this. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I see you on the next one.